we have to presume any time we do a story that most of the audience hasn't, that any time you introduce any subject or any topic or any big word, really, that you have to familiarize the audience with.
Right.
You were talking about 60 Minutes. They do the same thing.
Sure.
Harry Reasoner did a piece on some guy who was a card counter playing blackjack a couple of weeks ago, and they spent about 3 minutes in the context of the story establishing how to play blackjack.
Right.
Just the fact that you have to
Sure. Go for 21.
yeah,
right.
go for 21. So
Yeah, that's
we make the same.
an
kind of
interesting thing
presumption.
about television is it always seems to shoot for the lowest common denominator.
Yeah.
Steve,
Yeah,
in
well,
order to get a two-shot that we need, it sounds a little peculiar, but you can, and it'll be painless and over quickly.
Great.
Thank you.
I could embrace him if you wish.
No, the reason they take these 2 shots is because they do all of this market research on television, and they go into a shopping center and grab
Right.
50 viewers and put them in a trailer and show them tapes, and to try to find out what they like and what they don't, what bothers them and what doesn't. And one of the things that they found bothered viewers was in the typical nightly, just like to see the environment that you're talking in. So hence the wide shot.
Yes.
Is it over?
Yes, that painful part is over.
Steve, when you began to develop this 5 years ago, what sort of need did you see that existed then that you felt these computers was going to fill?
Well, basically, are we actually doing this now?
Yeah.
Oh, great. The question is really, what is a personal computer? And why is it different than all the other computers that have existed throughout history? Probably the best way to explain that is through an analogy. When you look at the invention of the first electric motor in the late 1800s, it was only possible to build a very large one. And it was very, very expensive, and therefore it could only be cost justified for the most expensive or large applications. And the electric motor really took its next step in proliferation when somebody hooked a long shaft to it and ran it down the center of a factory, through a series of belts and pulleys, brought that power down to maybe 15 or 20 individual workstations, thereby cost justifying or sharing that horsepower among some medium-sized applications. But the electric motor really achieved a true proliferation in the society with the invention of the fractional horsepower electric motor. And at that point, the horsepower could be brought directly to where it was needed on a personal scale, cost justified for a small number of things. And we see the same thing, the same evolution if we examine the history of computing. The first computer, ENIAC, in 1946, was designed primarily for weather and ballistic calculations, very large tasks. And the next revolution in computing was in the 1960s with the invention of what's called time sharing. In essence, sharing one of these very large computers with maybe 40 or 50 terminals scattered through a company, and thereby cost justifying it for medium-sized applications. What we think the personal computer industry is about is the invention of the fractional horsepower computer, something that can be cost justified on the personal level, something that weighs 12 pounds that you can throw out the window if you don't like. And it's really changing the way that people interact with computers. There's a one-on-one relationship that develops between one person and one computer.
Now, when you use the term a personal computer, you're avoiding the term home computer
Yes.
for a deliberate reason, right?
Right. We segment our market really into 4 major segments. Education, professional small business, home consumer, and scientific industrial. Now, the home market hasn't really taken off. It's probably the smallest of those 4 I've listed. We view the home now not as a market really, but as a location in which personal computers are used for a variety of functions sometimes. In other words, you can use a personal computer to do some portfolio management on some stocks. You can use a personal computer to do some educational. Can I answer that question?
Sure,
We can
yeah.
start over.
Okay,
Yeah, you can just pick it
let's
up and
change
we'll
the tape
yeah.
while we do
Oh,
that,
okay.
so.
Great.
So, and when you grew up, you say, we're still waiting for
Yeah.
a question, and we'll pick it up there.
Great.
Okay, John? And when you use the term a personal computer, you're deliberately avoiding the use of the term home computer, aren't you?
Right. We view the home not really as a market yet. We view it more as a location. We sell a lot of personal computers that are used for financial analysis, for education in schools, for running laboratory experiments in universities and in scientific applications. And a lot of these personal computers are used in the home as a location, some of the time. But there's not enough specific applications to cost justify spending $1,000 to $3,000 for a personal computer to be used in the home yet. So we don't think the home is quite yet ready either culturally or economically.
What type of person would need a personal computer today of the type you offer?
Well, it gets back to the question of what is a personal computer again. Again, another analogy. There was an article in Scientific American in the early 70s which compared the efficiency of locomotion for various species of things on the planet. In other words, they measured how much energy it took for a bird to get from point A to point B compared with the energy it took a fish to get the same distance, and a goat and a person and all sorts of other things. And they ranked them. And it turns out the Condor won. Condor was the most efficient, and man came in with a rather unimpressive showing about a third of the way down the list. Somewhat disappointing. But someone there had the insight to test the efficiency of man riding a bicycle. And man riding a bicycle was twice as good as the Condor, all the way off the end of the list. And what it really illustrated was man's ability as a tool maker to fashion a tool that can amplify an inherent ability that he has. And that's exactly what we think we're doing. We think we're basically fashioning a 21st century bicycle here, which can amplify an inherent intellectual ability that man has and really take care of a lot of drudgery to free people to do much more creative work.
Does this mean, do you think that personal computers in the 21st century will be as much a part of a home as, say, a refrigerator, a vacuum cleaner?
We can look at what's happening right now. As an example, in the state of Minnesota, which is probably the leading state in the country, over 97% of the kids that graduate from high school have hands-on experience with an Apple before they graduate. Now, these kids are growing up learning how to use this new tool in many, many phases of their life. They're hitting college, the same thing's happening. And so, very rapidly, the process of the integration of personal computers into the society will be accomplished. Let me illustrate two other processes which have happened in our lifetime very similar to this. You probably haven't used a piece of carbon paper or seen a mimeograph machine in a while. And yet, the first Xerox machine was introduced less than 20 years ago. It'll be 20 years ago next month. And in 20 years, it's radically altered the way that we work. Another process, the HP 35, first scientific handheld calculator, was introduced by Hewlett-Packard in 1972. Well, we all know where that's gone in just 9 years. But another interesting sidelight is in 1978, the largest manufacturer of slide rules in the world stopped making them entirely because the market had gone away. 6 years. So we see that it is possible in our lifetimes for a process like this to radically influence the way that we work and even start to look at life.
When you say start to look at life, where is the impact going to be felt most? In the intellectual process, in the day-to-day living process that is running the household, in terms of the way you spend your leisure time? Is there any way to pinpoint one of those areas as being the most likely to?
What we have seen in almost all applications of personal computers that have happened to date, the industry is only 5 years old, but we've shipped, in excess of 150,000 personal computers ourselves. We've seen a dramatic increase in the creativity of people in dealing with a problem. Rather than doing the drudgery, rather than using traditional tools, people are freed to think about the conceptual issues involved and the creative issues involved and use the computer actually to plow through the drudgery. This is in education, where students can actually learn at their own pace, where they can interact with a computer rather than just having a one-way communication through the medium of television or books. They can actually interact with the medium. We're seeing this in the professional sphere, where we no longer have, as an example at Apple, we no longer have secretaries at Apple. We have what we call area administrators. They're using the computers for all their word processing. They do all departmental budgeting on it. We do our entire forecasting using our own tools. And we're actually changing job descriptions based on allowing people to do more creative work rather than more work.
You mentioned that the calculators eliminated in at least one case the need for slide rules, that your secretarial job descriptions are changing.
Yes.
Are there any other major areas that personal computers are going to change in that direction that most people would be familiar with or make obsolete?
Well, I don't think personal computers are making anything obsolete in the sense of